Have you ever considered what it would take to create a perfect copy of New York, San Francisco, or Paris that you could explore in your computer? Hi, I'm Dr. Christopher Mitchell, and I'm excited to introduce you to Geopipe. Geopipe is building the authoritative whole Earth digital twin by using AI and machine learning to process raw sensor data into rich 3D models of the real world, with every single object, building, road, and sidewalk labeled and reproduced. As we founded Geopipe, we've discovered that rich 3D models of the world are a vital component of business across many verticals. We started in architecture, engineering, construction, and real estate, and we're progressing towards video games, special effects, and simulation, where we can train personnel and autonomous vehicles. In fact, we discovered that raw sensor data about the world was already democratized and increasingly inexpensive. Things like 3D laser scans, photos, and much more collected by ground and aerial vehicles. But customers don't want raw data. They want 3D models that they can use directly in their own software. Geopipe is that missing link between data collection and data presentation. And we're competing in a space that can be defined along two axes. Unlike Esri's City Engine and Mapbox, we don't rely on OpenStreetMap or other types of human annotated data that's often sparse and out of date. Unlike Google Earth, we don't just create photogrammetry. We actually have the intelligence in our models to know what's there. And more importantly, you can pull those models out and use them inside your own applications instead of having that data stuck inside another viewer. The way it works is that we start with that raw data about the world, 3D laser scans, photographs, GIS data, and more. We pass it through our proprietary machine learning pipeline, parse out every building, tree, road, sidewalk, window, and much more in the real world. And then with that rich 3D data turned into 3D models describing the world, we can reproduce a city the size of New York in less than a day. Our first product, Geopipe Context Snap, was aimed at AEC and real estate. It's an in-browser 3D interface that allows you to see our cities, click on buildings to see what we know about them, and most importantly, select an area relevant to your projects and immediately download it in an industry standard file format. Customers have used our models to date in order to visualize buildings in the context of the surrounding world, to perform shadow studies, zoning studies, and solar studies, and even to explore how construction will work in a complex environment. We also discovered that customers, whether they were in architecture, real estate, or video games, also needed to take our models and put them into game engines so you could walk through them and explore them on 2D screens and in 3D goggles. Therefore, we created the Geopipe API and SDK, our second product that streams our cities directly into games. You can, with our plugin, create your own experience in just a few minutes. Geopipe is working within what in 2020 will be a $17 billion space of 3D mapping and 3D modeling, within which $8 billion will be spent specifically on the problem of 3D mapping. And we've seen that this is a set of verticals that continues to grow rapidly and that has actually expanded in recent months. We license our models for internal use at AEC and real estate companies on annual or monthly per seat license basis. And if you need to redistribute our models in your own software, we charge a royalty. Geopipe has bootstrapped itself over the last 4 years to 2 fully functioning deep tech-backed products with over $2 million in dilutive and non-dilutive funding. We now cover 4,000 square kilometers of cities across 3 continents. We have dozens of enterprise customers and nearly 900 users on our platform. And we've gone through accelerator programs like Techstars New York City that have allowed us to add business and commercial expertise to our deep tech expertise. I'm Dr. Christopher Mitchell, as I said. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Geopipe. I'm joined on our founding team by Thomas Dickerson, our Chief Science Officer. With 15 years of experience working together and PhDs in computer science, we have exactly the expertise to solve this problem. And our management team is rounded out by our VP of Biz Dev and Sales, Will Pryor, who brings nearly a decade of experience in 3D data and drones. If you're as excited as we are about the opportunities opened by having rich digital twins of the entire world built by AI, we would love to chat. We are Geopipe.
Thank you. Thank you, Christopher. And we all know that Will has the best bow tie in Propel. Maybe only second to Wouter. Angie, would you like to kick us off with questions?
Yes, I mean, first of all, wow, what a great presentation.
Thank you.
Well done, Christopher. I have a very specific question, which is, I mean, it's great that you're modeling cities and and you're doing it so quickly as well. I'm just wondering what level of detail you can go into. So let's say if you're trying to build an as-built digital twin,
Right.
are you able to do that to the level of detail that that kind of modeling requires?
Absolutely. So right now we can reproduce the massing of a building, including setbacks, materiality. We are working on converting what is now an accurate guesstimate of the locations of windows and doors to truly accurate representations. And our approach has been to start with the world as a broad whole and increasingly recursively cut down the smaller and smaller objects. So things like water towers, HVAC chillers, and other roof clutter are now coming into our system. We are getting to finer and finer levels of detail about street furniture like benches and fire hydrants and so on. And our approach is to get to perfect digital twins. Hopefully, there's intermediate milestones along the way where even having accurate building shapes is extremely useful to our customers.
So will you be mapping out things like the M&E within the building, let's say, so we can see where all the pipes are and all the cables are laid and all of that?
This is something that we may explore in the future. We have quite a few good ideas of how to do it, but we're also seeing a number of other number of other companies rather, who are working on this problem. And we've already worked with a few partners that have taken scans or parsed models of interiors and put that inside our exteriors. We think that's a great solution for now, and we may explore it in the future, or we may use one of these great partners.
Great. Thanks so much for your presentation. I am curious to hear just a little bit more about your traction to date. And then I'm especially curious also to hear if COVID has changed your thinking around the need and the interest in having digital twins and being able to access virtual worlds at all.
Absolutely. We recently crossed the threshold from being pre-revenue to being post-revenue. So we're in the 4 to 5 figure area of MRR right now. And we have a goal to reach some specific MRR milestones for our next raise that's going to be in about 10 to 12 months. We have particularly built our KPIs right now around the level of detail that we're producing and the response from customers. We've been able to rapidly iterate on our technology with our first commercial customers starting about 2 years ago in the architecture space, some of the big multi-city architecture firms that are based in New York City. And those early adopters were a springboard to get to the now gaming and simulation customers who round out our offering. We've discovered that COVID has been terrible, obviously, but there's a silver lining for us in that it's increasingly important to be able to interact in virtual spaces. We discovered a few opportunities we didn't anticipate. So for example, virtual tours of different spaces are extremely important right now, whether that's in real estate or even in higher education. We've discovered that having digital twins of university campuses allows students to visit schools in a way that they otherwise wouldn't be able to. So we're now working with quite a few of the top tier universities to produce digital twin experiences built around their campuses. And we're looking forward to seeing what the new normal looks like. I think it's going to be a rough time for commercial real estate. I'm sure there's going to be some great innovative solutions built out. And we're looking forward to being part of that, digital experience that's going to grow up.
Jonathan.
Yeah, thank you, Christopher.
Thank you.
Customer traction with real estate groups. I can imagine this is a tool that's very relevant for government, for infrastructure providers.
Yep.
But what about the real estate players? Have they been early adopters for this?
Real estate developers have not been early adopters, but they've been part of that early adopter puzzle for us. We found that the best early traction for us in the real estate space came from developers recommending Geopipe's tools to the architects that they work with for the earlier stages of the projects, where they were doing massings, where they were performing zoning studies, where they were starting to look at colors and materiality. And now we've been able to get to the level of detail where those real estate partners are now also working with us for the beautiful renderings, for the videos, and for the VR experiences that are increasingly necessary to sell projects.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Anne?
Christopher, thank you. Another great presentation. Really like the product and the idea. You probably know better than I do that often one of the challenges isn't just about accuracy, it's about keeping things current and the currency of it.
Yep.
So could you just talk me through how you manage to do that when the imagery that's available isn't always as current as perhaps you'd like it to be?
Absolutely. So we have two approaches here. Number one is to just get sensor data as frequently as possible. We're able to work with public and private data. So while publicly available data has been great to get us huge coverage, we also work with private data collection companies who will, for us, fly drones, fly data collection flights, drive cars around and collect new data for us. The other part of the puzzle is because we're working with what's called multimodal data, the combination of laser scans, photographs, GIS data, et cetera, we're able to update our models when only one or a few of those data sources change. Our AI is able to figure out which data is updated, which data is outdated, and take the current state of the world from the updated data.
Great. Jorn? Jorn, we're on mute again, if you don't mind. Sorry.
Sorry. I understand that you can create a digital twin of the city. Then can you play around with it? For example, double the number of inhabitants, something like this, or have a different influence on it?
Absolutely, yes. So we produce the data about the city as not just 3D models, but the underlying information describing that city. So if you want to take every building and say it's 5 more floors than it actually is, if you want to widen the streets or add more parks or give it bigger sidewalks so there can be more social distancing and sidewalk cafes, that's all things you can do by manipulating our data about that city.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Great. Christopher, excellent job. As always here, good luck to you. We're going to roll right into the next presentation.